Professional, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, we are recording, so whenever you would like to start, Russ, and I can just read who's in attendance based on who we can see on the screen if you want.
That's great. We'll go ahead and start the LTAC meeting. We'll have a call to order. Monica, would you just give us an announcement of who is in attendance, please?
In attendance, we have Russ Carlson, Shelley Munson, Bill Harris, Teresa Morales, and Monica Lake.
Excellent. And did we hear from anybody about being able to come, Jean and Tina?
I have not heard anything from either Jean or Tina.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Any questions, comments, complaints?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
not for me.
All right. I'll welcome an approval in a second.
I move to approve.
Okay.
Raise my hand.
Yes,
I'll
please.
second.
All right, great. Motion to approve by Bill, a second by Shelley. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to flash through screens here real quick. No, we have nothing on the communication, so general business. Expenditure for the approval for the legal ad. Monica, I'm assuming this is for the, excuse me, sorry about that, for the extension of the change of the date?
Correct. Anytime we change the meeting from its set date and time, which is currently the fourth Monday at 11, we are required by state law to run a legal ad so the public is aware if anybody wishes to attend. So because that is an expenditure of LTAC funds, it's presented to you for approval.
Excellent. Any questions on that? Okay, I'll welcome a motion.
I'll vote to approve it.
Motion by Shelley to approve. Bill for a
Second.
second.
Yes.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion
Thank you very
passes.
much.
And let's see. Okay, we're gonna talk about how much we like Teresa. For I'm assuming this is the contribution of Shelley's salary to the city budget. Is that correct?
Yeah, so both number 2 and number 3 will kind of talk about that. I was asking about the breakdown because not all of this position salary comes from it, but Andrew had a really good breakdown of what percentage of the rec director's salary comes from LTAC funds. And according to that breakout, it's 15% of this position salary. And so it looks like I need to submit an application for what was already approved for 2020.
Right.
So I'll finalize that and get that over to you for signature. And then in looking towards 2021, we're just starting on, as you know, of course, for us, but for everybody else, we're just starting on budgets for 2021. So there will be a second application similar with a new date for September's meet. Probably both of them will have at September's meeting or even after, because council will be we'll be discussing it with council, discussing what that COLA COLA increase is gonna be, and then making sure that that is approved by you guys for the 15% that is allocated to this position.
Can you remind me what was the percentage previously?
So for 2020, it was 15%. I don't know what it was before then, but remember that was when the whole switch went over with Bree. And so that was when it was all reevaluated. And I want to say it was actually a little bit more towards LTAC before they combined it with the Civic Center, because they were able to lean a little bit more on Civic Center, but I might be misspeaking in that. So.
Yeah, I definitely remember it being a lower percentage before. I'm not overly concerned about it, but as we look at our tax revenues that have come in, they've slowed down significantly.
Yeah,
So that's definitely a concern of mine.
right.
So any thoughts from the board on this?
We actually can't vote on this until she makes application.
Correct. And I think what we're looking for is some insights and everyone's gut feels on how we're looking in the future, what our current revenue is, and if we feel like this is justifiable, she can submit an application for it.
I don't see a problem with it.
And I do have some numbers kind of for consideration. If we can kind of combine number 2 and 3, because of what happened in 2020 as far as events. Normally I come to you guys and we talk about the Hot Rods on First Street, and we talk about 4th of July, and we talk about the 2A state tournament. And so for example, the car show, nearly all of the stuff that I ordered for the car show we can reuse. There's only a few things that put date on it. It kind of all happened right at the right time where I could pull back off of our marketing and take the date off so I can reuse all of that. So I'm looking at having the ask for the car show be around $2,000 is kind of my thought.
Mm-hmm.
The $3,000 will stay the same for the 2A state tournament. So that's $5,000. And then my thinking on the 4th of July, if we run a full event, which I think we should consider whether or not we need to do that. If we run a full event of asking LTAC for more than I have in the past for advertising and bringing in the music talent, because that event is so specifically driven to bringing in people from outside of the valley. So that would be a higher ask. But with all of those, and then of course community days, we have to consider that. But if you were to break out the recreation director salary at 15% plus the 2% increase for 2020, the amount that my position would lean on LTAC would be about $9,180 approximately. So it's not half of it, 15% isn't a ton. It is certainly a lot of money, but it's not out of the realm of course. So about $9,100. If everything stayed the same in 2020, 15% of my salary plus a 2% COLA increase would be about $9,100.
Mm-hmm.
Just food for thought.
Yeah. When you talk about a full event for 4th of July, what does that entail?
So that would be the all of the vendors, all of the music, all of the beer garden. We had talked about adding in a firecracker run, 5K run. It's a very expensive event. And I wonder how much people missed it versus just having the fireworks. In a year of having a lot of decreased revenue for the recreation department and for the civic center department, and certainly for taxes in general. If the park was open and people could come and bring picnics and bring blankets and sit out in the park, for 50% of the cost, we can still have an event for people where they're really just coming to watch the fireworks, but they're still gathering in a community versus putting on a $20,000 event for 5 hours. So just consideration on whether that's money well spent or not. If we just keep doing the fireworks, are people going to be okay? And I don't know.
What was the attendance previously for the 4th of July event?
On our biggest year, we'd get around 3,000 people. And I would guess maybe 10% or so of those were from out of even Yakima. I would guess the rest were Yakima and Selah. And I would say that last year the numbers were less. I don't have we haven't done specific crowd counting. I thought about doing that where we count pods of people and kind of estimate how many do a much more specific estimation of how many people are there. But I think you just have your people that normally come to the event, come to the actual music part of it. And the music only runs from 5 or 5:30 to dark. So it's not even like we're running a full day event. this year would have been really great because 4th of July fell on Saturday. I think next year it might even, well, I guess it'd be Sunday, but the year after that it's going to be Monday. So we can't do, I mean, nobody's going to come to a full day event on a Monday. And so we always try to do it after work so the most people could come. But we pay at least $3,000 just for the music. That's just music. You know, so it's a price tag. And so I'm trying to be conscious this year of budgets and be respectful of what the reality is. And I just want to make sure that that event is something that the community really wants. Or if we still do fireworks and we open up the park and we say, bring your blankets and play, you know, just kind of do a throwback where people just came and got together. Maybe that would be sufficient. I don't know.
Yeah. I think, I don't know about you, Bill or Shelley, but a lot of the times 4th of July is a time to be with family and have your barbecue. And I love the fireworks. And, you know, you could allow vendors, you could invite vendors to be there if they wanted. And we don't have to spend money out of our pocket to have them there. You could just have them show up and be there if they choose.
Right.
That's-
Well, and
that's
then
my-
they, people could eat if they wanted to at the park, but the stage and the music and the kids' activities that are always this super controversial thing because we can't have the bouncy houses anymore, but we still want to provide something for the families. And then if the families don't come, the event's not worth it because they're just coming to drink. And then it's not only a liability, it's just not worth it.
We're assuming that we're not going to be in a correct phase by next year. Is that correct?
I'm assuming that we are. I'm assuming that everything will be, I'm planning for 2020 as if nothing happened, and 2021 as if 2020 didn't exist. So
Right.
my thought is if everything was opened up and you could run things as normal, is that event necessary at the cost that it has been costing us?
Which is about 20 grand, right?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, $20,000 to support a high water mark of 3,000 people with probably 2,500 of them from Selah is probably that's a toss up. If that money could be spent in a different venue that year
Yeah.
or a different event, the fireworks, I would agree, is something that pretty much, a lot of people aren't at the park, but they're viewing it from a perimeter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we had enough people this year. So we had the fireworks. Nobody was allowed in the park because of COVID. But had we allowed people in the park, it would have been a whole community gathering, and it would have been a couple of hundred people, maybe more. But the parking lot would have filled. People would have sat. It would have been kind of, those just old neighborhood gatherings, like a neighborhood block party kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And kids are running around. People are sitting on blankets, all that great stuff that the park could still provide, but at $6,000 or $5,000 versus $15,000 to $20,000. So we would.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know how much people would miss it, and if we still did the fireworks.
I think everybody's ideals about anything happening in the future have changed.
I agree.
So I don't know if people that are dedicated going might miss it, but yeah. I think people would totally understand a new. Everybody's saying the new norm. So
I would be supportive of pulling back a little bit on it.
Yes.
And then after we run this event next year, then you can kind of monitor what the responses are.
Yeah.
And if you get no responses, not everyone's going to complain, but if you have 50 people respond, then you probably got, you're lucky if 25% complain about an event like that not being there the following year.
Right.
So,
and you can play music from somebody's phone on Spotify for music, and
we can certainly pump music throughout the park with the speakers that are there, and encourage people to bring blankets. And we have a new park there, and the kids will just toddle around the grounds, of course, but especially because it's not super far after Community Days, which is such a huge carnival. It is such a vendor-centric carnival, which is what it should be. And every time it's just so much money, and I just wonder now that we've reset it, now that we've recalibrated everybody, we can just be like, hey, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
I know we talked about for the car event about the possibility of putting in like a band having a Bluetooth speakers
Yeah.
for an event like that. And I'm sure you could buy some pretty nice speakers for not a lot of money. Maybe we allocate some of those dollars that we're not spending to purchase those speakers that the city would have to use for any event.
Right.
And that might be something that, you know, I'm sure you could, I don't know what they cost, but I'm sure you could, for a couple $1,000s, buy 2 or 3 really nice Bluetooth speakers that would enhance like the car show,
Yeah.
where you don't have to have a live band.
Right. Well, then it would be better because we could get communications throughout the venue better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if somebody's lost, like one time we had a gentleman who wandered off, we could have everybody be looking instead of trying to tell everybody as we go.
Right.
Our panic look
no,
on
I
our
think-
face isn't the alert.
Yeah.
Maybe look into what a Bluetooth speaker system would cost with a range of, you know, I think if it's within sight, you could probably be, I would guess it'd be a quarter mile, or I have no idea about that. I say that with no knowledge, so I guess we
Right.
should look into that.
Well, so we started that because we needed it for something. I think the base race or something. We started that process. So we have speaker, we have a board, switchboard kind of a thing where we can, so we could kind of daisy chain and do that. And we came up with some ideas of how to keep the speakers from being looted during the event. So I think that would be a great option. Every year that it comes up, somebody or a number of people say, hey, this would be really great. So I think it'd be cool. We also, I know last year we all talked about buying airspace and being able to have everybody turn their cars to the same station like they do for the Christmas lights.
Right.
And then being able to talk into that. So I think that event is so unique that putting a little bit more money and really bringing people in from out of town, it would be a little bit more better use of funds than maybe putting that much into one event. You know, don't put your eggs in all the same basket. I don't know. So that
I would
was
agree
kind of my
with
thought.
that. And until this last year, that event, and that was some of the work that was most of the work that you did, you know, that event has grown to where it's on people's calendars as a, you know, so I think that would be money well spent, something like that.
Yeah.
And try to enhance that event.
Yeah.
Ride that momentum. Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And keep
Now-
in mind, if we do some sort of if we purchase some a speaker system like that, you can even rent them out to groups for events.
True.
You could people could rent, you know, these, maybe not even rent, but it could be used for events at the Civic Center, outside. It could be very versatile, going to different locations, and a nominal fee, but it would help pay for those that system.
Well, and people that come here to have their event.
Do you get a security deposit on something like that? Because, you know, a lot of times a speaker gets returned damaged and no one uses it again until the next event. So it could be 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months, excuse me, until you know they were damaged.
Right. And I think that's the onus on us to make sure we check out that stuff on the Monday morning after, or Tuesday. But that's been one of the things with this building specifically, is being able to get speakers into the side room so people can hear. So if we had those speakers that we could set up and communicate to our main system, but they're in the Legion room or in the senior room, that's huge as far as bringing in larger groups of people for different things.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I've done a little bit of homework on it. You just have to make sure the relay is synonymous.
Yeah.
Frequently, sometimes you have it where it relays to one to the next, and the sound does that same thing.
Yep.
So you have echoing throughout the area. So that's like Bill said. I know very little about it, but I did read on that part.
Sure.
So they have to be in unison.
Totally. Yeah, I thought I'd enlist the help of my dad. He does the audio visual for 4
Perfect.
years. So
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
he's put on enough events that I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
jump.
that's a great
we love free help.
yeah, exactly.
But I would think the last 2 or 3 years, the advancements on that would just be,
Yeah.
from what it was 10 years ago, it'd just be crazy good.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea too.
And I love that car show. It is so good, and I think if we don't keep developing it and growing it, I think it'll die off. It'll become the same thing over and over.
Yeah, I think having some flexibility and maybe putting a little bit more into that. If we don't, so the 4th of July and the car show are so back to back that I've avoided putting vendors at the car show. But there's a lot of people who come with their spouses and with their families, and they want to, dabble throughout the event as they're there. So if we have things to have them come see, then I think the spectators will come down more. I think people will move throughout the event more. So I don't ever ask for vendors at the car show because of the 4th of July. And if we're not, then we can say, hey, do you, having arts and crafts or doing a little art show, an art walk with it or something, it could be really cool. So,
You know what date you have on the calendar for the car show next year?
no, but I do know is that this year, had we ran it this year, it was going to be on the 3rd weekend in June. So it kind of was a repeat of what the community is used to with community days. 3rd weekend in May, 3rd weekend in June. However, the 3rd weekend in June is always Father's Day. And Father's Day is when Dayton has their car show. And in the car show world, our town and our show continuously gets compared to the Dayton show. So we don't want to do it on the same day. I'd rather compete with the one in Tri-Cities than the one in Dayton. So
When's the Tri-Cities one?
yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Because of the COVID this year, the high school state tournament got moved to the 25th and 26th.
I saw that.
I don't know if you were aware of that.
I did see that.
So that's a 1-year deal, but it's supposed to be this year, those dates in June.
At the
So
end of
just
June.
FYI, if you're planning. Yep, the 25 and 26 of this year for a 1-year deal.
I did. I saw that from Rich. He sent it. So I think in the past we've done it the 2nd or 3rd or even the 1st. So I think in the very cobwebby parts of my mind, I was thinking the 2nd weekend of June. That'd be the 12th.
Yep, I think that'd be a great date.
When's the Tri-Cities event?
I think it's that 2nd week in June. I can't remember what it's called.
Hot Summer Nights?
Yeah.
No, is that Yakima?
Yeah, that's the DYGSA one.
Oh, right.
And it's not the summer, the one in August that Ventiques does. I can't remember what it's called. It's something summer related though with the title. We're getting close there, Russ. I know we're almost there.
I know. I'm trying to find it real quick, but
I know. How fast are your
Cool
fingers?
Desert
Come on.
Nights.
What'd you
Cool.
say?
Cool Desert Nights.
That sounds pretty close.
Cool Desert Nights is, it's saying that's car cruises, party in the park, yada yada. June
In
20.
June?
Yeah. They're showing June 24 to June 27,
Yep,
2021.
That's it. Yep. So if we go up to the 12th, I think I was reading through the Cruisin' magazine. There's not a ton that 2nd and 3rd weekend in June on a regular basis. So if we avoid theirs and we avoid Dayton's, could be pretty good.
I like it. I don't own a car. Sorry, I do own a car. I don't own
You should get one of those. I know a guy that can get you a car here in the meeting.
I don't own a car that I would take to one of these shows. So I don't know any sort of how people worry about their cars. What about putting food trucks or something down the middle? Is that a no-no? Is that too close to the cars?
The thing that they've come back with me on that is that they don't want like the smoke of the barbecue or the steam from the kettle corn. They don't want any of that near their cars. But if I can convince Ty to let me push the show so that the Civic Center becomes the middle, then we can put all of the vendors in the Civic Center parking lot. I just have to get the show. Ty doesn't let me go past a certain point because we got to go through DOT a different way. So if I can get to him early enough in the year, have him settle on it for a while where it becomes his idea, then it'll be a great idea and we can push the show that way. And then we can do it all in the Civic Center parking lot would be perfect.
I think that'd be a great idea because that's kind of like centrally located. There's a little parking around there. There'll be parking up by the pool.
Yeah.
If it was to really be a well-attended event and
Restrooms.
extra parking.
Restrooms. It's cool. We could even have stuff inside so people can come inside and cool off. They can park across the street.
Nope, that'd be a great idea.
I think maybe in the Civic Center, if you're going to have like crafty vendors and that kind of thing, might be the good place for that, and the food outside, and then people can have options.
And they could come inside and eat while they look.
Yeah.
We can get a ATM machine put up here for free. The guy just takes it, he brings it, and it's just a service that he does. So I think that'd be, and then we have the platform outside of the Civic Center where you can put speakers and point them out, and you have a good high point to communicate Bluetooth speakers on either end where they can come back and not have to have any interference. So
right.
Do we get a percentage of that ATM fees?
We do. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
I like it.
And he is really good about responding when it runs out. He's comes right out and fills it back up, and it's great.
Awesome. I like it.
So that's all I have. I know community days will be there. I don't know of nobody's come to me with any other new events for next year. So I think everything's pretty much streamlined until people see that we are in fact going to be able to open up. And then I hope that would change. I think the events are good. I think they just need to be done by other groups in town and not all on the city and LTAC. So
that's a really good point. I was gonna make a similar comment. While the city does a really good job, I think our tax this year. Yeah, I mean you've got plenty of time on your hands, I think. But generally speaking, I'd love to see more outside groups.
Yeah.
Putting on events, so that it's not a city event. Just because the city costs so much money.
Yeah.
Our taxes pay for it, and it's a very expensive event when other groups could do it for cheaper.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's a lot that we can't do that 501c3s can do because they're a 501c3, because we're a government entity. We hit walls that we have to kind of jump through. So it really is a lot bigger of an opportunity for them to do it. And I think it'd be great if those different local 501c3s were like, hey, we want to do this or that or whatever. So.
Right. And they could use, I mean, you talk about the $20,000 for the 4th of July. What do we bring in? We could allow someone else to do the work and actually make some money on it.
Right.
I highly doubt we cover our costs.
Oh no.
So
a lot of it is sponsors. So in 2019.
I just think our overhead is so high that as a government, government entity, that it could be way cheaper if we just we don't stop them from doing it, but if we encouraged other groups to put these events on. Well, imagine what community days would cost if the city of Selah put it on.
I know. And I think the other thing is to not say, hey, we're gone, peace out, we'll be over here, you do your thing.
Right.
But like, hey, let's partner with this. We have a facility, you have an idea, we collectively have funds that everybody, contributes to.
Right.
So in 2019, we paid $13,842 for the 4th of July event. And the only revenue we ever get back from that and that was out of just the 4th of July budget, $3,200 just for the entertainment. The only money we ever get back from that are from vendors, and the vendors pay $40 per spot, and we get about 20 vendors.
A return of $800.
And then we get sponsors. Of course, the community sponsors are vital. It's the only thing that gets us going. And so I'm always I'm always super conscious of what the local businesses have gone through. You know, if I'm coming to them and I'm like, hey, I need you to help me with 4th of July and the car show, and I need $10,000 between the two, and they've had a rotten year, that, I mean, my heart just says I wouldn't go and ask my mom for that money. I'm not going to go and ask them for that. I know that I probably shouldn't think that way as a business person, but that's what I do.
Well, no, but that
Fire me if you
money,
want.
that money goes further in the hands of a non-government entity.
It's true.
And
Yes.
and so we could rely less on businesses for that money.
Right.
From this is Russ's perspective, but the taxes in Selah are significant, and to continually go back to these businesses and these people who are the reason our city is doing well, to ask for more money. I have a hard time with that.
I do too.
But if we could, some of these other groups go to these businesses, these people for these donations, the money goes further, and they can do more with that money, and then we could still contribute from our LTAC budget as well.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool for them to step up.
I think that's
and
the
do some of that.
responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and the boards that I sit on throughout the state, and whether for recreation or for events, it's kind of an anomaly for the city to be putting on the events. When I go and I talk around the state to different people that are doing it, it's their chamber of commerce, or it's their downtown association, or it's a local 501c3, or a business centric that's doing it, or the lines, whatever it is, it's not the city. And so I think it's really great that the city supports that. I just want to make sure that we're good stewards of the funds and figure out what's a need and what is just a habit, and what we can do.
Agreed.
That's all I have.
Okay. So just to confirm, Teresa, you will come back with an application for the 2020 for your salary, the 2020 expenses, so that we can cover our legal requirements.
Yeah.
And also one for 2021.
Yep. I'll have those.
Thank you. All right. So that's it. How about reports? Anybody have input? Shelley, you want to start?
I don't have any input.
Okay. All right. Bill?
Just the softball side of it, because the high school season is going to be shortened and start at the end of April, then run through the end of June. We're going to try to add 2 tournaments in the March and April window that we would have lost in June. So hopefully we'll run the same number of tournaments. They'll just kind of be redirected this year because of the WIAA COVID-19 response.
Yeah.
So to piggyback on that, for Russ and Shelley, did you guys, I don't know if you heard, but GYGSA canceled the remainder of their season. They were still hoping to do some in September and October, and they're not going to this year. So.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
Yep.
Okay.
We would try to do it at phase 3. We think we could meet the requirements for phase 3, but we don't see any way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody in this group know who put together the recent gatherings of softball at Carlin this past weekend, and I think the weekend before?
No. Was there a tournament there, or an event, or?
When I drove by, I just noticed that there was a lot of people in what looked like a tournament fashion. I know they've been doing them up at McGonigal. I think it's the travel teams that are putting them together. But I didn't know of anybody specifically
They didn't check in with you?
Some people call. So I've had some people call and be like, hey, we're playing this weekend at whatever park. And my response is always, the parks are open. We're not painting fields, and we're not checking and replenishing supplies as though the events are going on, but the parks are open.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're first come, first served. If you show up and you think you can play a tournament and there's one person on the field running their dog, you can't ask them to leave because you don't have a reserved park. But if it's open and the field's open, then, so I haven't heard anything back on it. I just wondered if anybody knew what the group was. So.
Nope,
Okay.
I know nothing about it.
Would the WIA, I mean, I guess that's a little bit more statewide, right? But
Yes,
you wouldn't be able to run anything along that same fashion, huh?
I
Show
didn't
up
get you
and
correctly,
play.
Russ, sorry.
Yeah, just the show up and play. Without okay, no.
No, the one event, the 2A state tournament, they want that to go on because that's a big revenue creator. That's a revenue stream for WIAA. The state tournaments is the only way they really pay their all their board members, and so that's always a big event. And we've always been able to retain the 2A state tournament because of how much the city participates in that and works with the softball group to make sure that is a great event. And otherwise, you see those WIA events bounce around the state, and it's not because they're trying to share. One location they'll just have a loss of revenue, and they just want to go where they get revenue and no problems. And that's why we've had this event for like 10, 11, 12 years.
And I've been talking with Rich Austin. He, I was just gonna see if I can pull it up. I have the next 5 years, I think, on softball for us at Carlin. Let's see if I can pull this up really fast. See how good my skills are here. But oh yeah, here we go. Future is, so we have 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. I have dates for those at our complex.
That's perfect.
Awesome.
And they don't do that. They don't do 5 years in advance, but that's just because we've had quite a, and what we want to do is make sure every event, we treat it like, we have to turn out a product that they want to come back. If we get lax, you'll just get a notification that in 27 it's going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we do. That's a great event. Jake Davis up at the high school has been the one that the last couple of years has ran that, does a really good job. And having resources from the city when needed, it just turns out really nice.
Good. I like it. Okay. Sounds good. Teresa, anything from you?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't have anything to add. So that be Monica, do you have anything for us?
Nope, just what was sent out.
Okay. We didn't vote on that was just information for the 2020 budget review, right? We need to approve that.
No, those are just budget sheets that we get. I'm trying to do a better job of getting those to you guys so you can see ins and outs of the not all outs right now, but hopefully better ins. So
Thank you.
All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Sounds good. Moved by Bill, seconded by Shelley. All in favor? Any opposed? Thanks, everyone.
Everybody have a great week.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. You guys
Thank
have a good
you.
week too. Bye.